We're joined today by 2017 BlueClaws first baseman Darick Hall, who's on a boat in Hereford, Arizona, getting ready, hopefully, to get back to Florida and back to first base and back to that lefty batter's box. Darick, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. How's Arizona treating you right now?
Arizona's been great. It seems like where I'm at, we haven't been affected too bad. And to be honest, I've been able to do everything I need. I've had a home gym that I've been able to use. I have a cage in my yard. I've been able to throw and hit with a guy that went to my local junior college. He's back in town, so really haven't had to slow down too much.
What was everybody's reaction as everything was building up in March? You were in big league camp at the time. How quickly did it go from, well, we're monitoring it to, well, maybe the season will be delayed a couple days to, well, we're going to go home now?
Well, it kind of seemed like we were starting to catch wind of it as players, not from the management, but from the news, right? We were like, oh my gosh, this thing is really happening, And then I would say first week of March is when I remember we got sent home for 3 days, or just back to our spots for 3 days, because I think they were trying to figure out what to do. They're trying to hear from the MLB. They're trying to hear from, the top and whatever information they could get. And I remember getting back in there. We had a meeting, and they said, wait one more day. And then we basically, on the day after that day, we came in, and they said they're going to have to send us all home. And we were all kind of shocked because, as well as I do, nothing really stops baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Like, come hell or high water, baseball is played usually. So we were like, oh, this is probably temporary, couple weeks. They'll figure it out, And, sure enough, we're still here. So.
How often do you talk to people from the Phillies?
Pretty often. We get calls from our staff and trainers, seeing how we're doing, what we're up to, what baseball stuff we're doing. So they've done a really good job with communication. Really makes you feel in the loop still.
By the way, we should note we're recording this on Saturday, May 23rd, so you might not actually see it until after they get some kind of resolution and, things start to, you get news about when people are going to head back. But as of now, on May 23rd, everybody's still just waiting for the right decisions to be made. Was this your first big league camp, or were you there last year too?
Oh, this is my first one.
Who were some of the older veteran types that you kind of looked up to and were kind of helping the younger guys?
I really like Neil Walker, Josh Harrison, Logan Forsythe. Those are guys that seem like they came in and really just got to know the young guys right away. And I think everybody was great, but those are just guys I spent a lot of time with because of the infield.
Yeah.
I was always working with them and talking to them. Didi Gregorius is great too. Gene Segura, everybody in the infield was awesome. Kingery. But I definitely think the guy I talked to the most was Neil Walker and Josh Harrington. Very strong personalities. They're hilarious. They've been around the game a long time, and there's a lot to learn from them.
So let's go back to 2017 with the BlueClaws. You had a record-setting year in Lakewood, 27 homers, 96 runs batted in. What do you remember most about your summer here at the Jersey Shore?
Well, I'll tell you what, we had so much fun. That group has really excelled from that year on. We had a bond that I don't think will ever be broken. Playing together and grinding that summer out together was amazing. I remember one thing I loved about the BlueClaws was the fans, right? The staff. I thought as a whole, they treated us very well and they loved us, and that made it a lot easier to play, when we have that kind of support. And then being able to play well was secondary. That was a lot of fun, being able to do something kind of special. But I just remember the thing I liked the most was the camaraderie on that team and just how much fun we had day in and day out. And that's something that'll stick with me for the rest of my life.
We're talking with 2017 BlueClaws first baseman Darick Hall. Remember, you can score savings at the dentist with Choosy Dental, the free, easy-to-use app that saves you an average of 24% at the dentist. Save more, smile more, learn more at grandslamsavings.com. And, you've moved up with a lot of those guys, Mickey Moniak, Archimedes, Gamboa, Luke Williams, all those, Adam Hazley, you played at higher levels with a lot of those guys over the last few years. And then the pitchers too, Falter, Medina, Suarez, et cetera, Addison, Russ.
Yep.
I mean, you guys have had a nice group that have made impacts at the higher levels.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that really started there in 2017. It began in 16, but that was just a start, and 17 was when it really meshed.
What was your favorite part about playing for Marty Malloy?
Marty was really good at giving talks, right? So we'd come in after a series, we'd have our series review, and then he'd give us some motivating speeches. And, a lot of them was very informational, but a lot of them, we would just get a kick out of, because he would sit up there and he'd go on and on and on for about 20 minutes. And first, the thing that was cool about it is we knew he cared. To be able to do that, we knew he cared. Like, he generally was giving us good advice, every single time. He was trying to get us to move up, or know how to move up, or what to expect at the next level. And that never stopped. That went the whole year, and usually when somebody, at first we were kind of like, okay, this guy, because Marty was brand new, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh, okay, there's no way he'll keep this up. And he did it the whole time. And the thing was, we began looking forward to it more. And Marty also is a guy that has he's high energy. And he has your back, and I think that's something that was great. I remember there towards the end, we were starting to get hit quite a bit, because we were really hitting well and doing well. And I remember he would get after the managers their players were getting after us, and I really felt like he had our back. And that was one of my favorite things about Marty, is just how much he cared, how much advice he offered, and that he always had our back.
And you'll get to work with him, I guess, a little more closely now, right? Because he'll be the infield coordinator, so you'll see him, even not every day, but you'll see him a good amount.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll probably see him a lot. So I know he's a good guy to work with, and he's going to put you on the right track, and we're going to work hard. That's one thing Marty demands is you to work hard, and that's expected, and that's something I like too.
Now, obviously you had, and still have a lot of power. Obviously, also First Energy Park is a tough spot to hit. What had you heard about the ballpark before the season had started, and what challenges does the ballpark pose for a home run fly ball hitter like yourself?
Well, going in, I heard that it's it's a pretty big park, but the thing I just never let that really get to me. It's not something that worries me, because I know in my head, at least, I know if I square it up and hit it to the right side of the park, it's probably got a good chance to go. And it didn't really seem to bother me. There was definitely some balls I hit there that when it gets in the gaps and that wind's blowing in a certain way, it just won't go.
Yeah.
And
right
when it's a little bit cold and humid still, other than that, I thought at least the year we were there, I thought when the summer came, the wind blew from like the left field foul pole, the right field foul pole, and it seemed like righties could hit them out and lefties could hit them out. But I know that park does pose some challenges for the middle of the field, but I thought it was a really nice park too. Like, it's a beautiful place to play. The beer decks are cool. I remember I had a couple balls off the left side or left center beer deck that I thought now would be a home run. But I remember, remember in the first half, we had to basically win out. And I hit a ball off the very, very top cage of the left center gap. Do you remember that?
That last weekend of the half?
Yeah, it was like the last game, and we had to win. And I hit a ball off the very, very top of the cage. And they scored two. That I don't even know I think they lowered the line now.
They
I
did.
remember I hit that ball a ton. And that ball.
They did. They lowered the line. Now it probably would. You probably would have hit it 2 or 3 more for sure. Yeah, they lowered the line that year. That pennant race was interesting, and you guys in Kannapolis went back and forth, and they kind of got you on that little fake tiebreaker. I know that Marty still probably loses sleep over that. That was a tough one, but you guys ended up that. I know it didn't work out the way you wanted, but it's still good for the group to be involved in something like that, right?
Oh yeah, I remember after the game we won out and we were really excited, and
Yeah.
we all had the computers in the locker room when we're watching the game, because I think they were in like the 7th when we were done with the game.
Right.
And then I obviously they won that game, and then that rule kind of got us, which Marty wasn't happy about because they played less games than us.
Right. They played. For those that don't know, Kannapolis had played 2 fewer games, so they had, while the 2 teams were tied in the standings, Kannapolis, by playing 2 fewer games, had a better winning percentage. Even though you guys had won the head-to-head against them, it didn't come into play.
Yeah, we were upset about that, but it is what it is. That's the thing that can happen in minor league baseball, and you don't expect it, but that's just something that can happen. You
missed like 3 weeks right at the beginning of the year. I mean, you had 27 homers that season with the BlueClaws, but didn't hit your first one until May 3rd. It was a wrist, right? You got hurt in the first series.
I had a high ankle sprain.
Oh, you got hurt did you get hurt warming up?
What's that?
Were you a late scratch in the lineup right in Kannapolis that first series?
Yeah, so I was, because I played the first 2 games,
right,
and I got hurt before the game.
Before the 3rd game.
Yeah, I just got my cleat hung, and it literally so I was running and I went to cut right, and my cleat just hung, and I went from my foot kind of went cut like this, and I just went over the top of it. And man, I think I've sprained my ankles before, low stuff, but that high ankle sprain was painful. I had to have a little help walking off the field. I had to put all my weight on my heel and just barely get out of there. And that was definitely disappointing. But the thing about that is I couldn't control it. It wasn't it was different than a muscle injury, because you feel and you can't always control those either. But that was something that I knew was going to heal. I just had to keep a good head on my shoulders and work hard and get through it. And that's something that kind of helped me be able to come back and ready to go.
You broke the home run and RBI records, the single season BlueClaws home run and RBI records in the same game in Hagerstown. You had 2 homers and 7 RBIs. You remember that? You remember that night? That was one of your career nights, I assume.
Oh yeah. I remember that night. The thing I remember the night before was going 0 for 4 with 3 punchies.
That's right. I got it right here.
Because I had kind of struggled a little bit. Maybe the week prior, I had been getting some knocks, but I hadn't been driving the ball. And then I came in that night, and I'd had some good success against Hagerstown that season. And I remember I'm like, okay, this is a good park to do it. And obviously I wanted to do it at home, but it didn't happen. And I had that tough night, and I was like, man, this is tough. And then to come out there that next night and just have an awesome night and knock them out, or both in the same game, was crazy,
And then you went to Clearwater at the end of that year and for half of the next year, and then Reading, and then a full year in Reading. Since you last played in Lakewood 2 full seasons now, how are you a better hitter, better player overall in those last 2 years?
I think the thing that Lakewood did to me the most was really, really made me I always believed I could, but it really put into visual perspective that I can do this, right? Because you're a young player and your first full season, and I'm not saying that it's okay, if you don't do well, it's not a good thing, but it really made me feel okay, I definitely know that and have the belief that I can be a big leaguer. It really seemed going through that season, seeing what it was like, having some success, really, it really helped me understand what it takes to get there, and that I have the ability to. And I think that really stuck with me the last few years, and it's kept me motivated, because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't spend 5 years in the minors. That's a long time, and so you got to stay motivated while you're going through it. It's not easy. It's not glamorous, right? It's a good time. Like, I love the people I'm with, the people I meet, the staff, the people at the ballpark. It's great, but it's tough living, right? And that's something I think Lakewood really motivated me to keep going and to stay strong and to do my best and to try to achieve my dream.
You drew a lot last year. Just looking at your numbers, you drew a lot more walks, almost twice as many as the year before, and in the Lakewood year too. Is that something that has been stressed to you? Is that something that you want to make a big part of your game as you move forward here?
Yeah, I think I knew I could do it with my bat, but the difference is I remember all those years earlier, I wasn't walking, right? So I wasn't beating pitchers with my eyes, right? Like, if I got a pitch hit and I was on time, I was doing it with my bat. But the higher levels you go and you start chasing more pitches, and if you get out of the strike zone, it just makes your life harder, right? Because those pitchers are good enough to make things look like they're in the strike zone, pull them out. They're good enough to know where their ball is going all the time. So if they know that you're a guy that is kind of a free swinger, they're not going to give you as many pitches as you should get, right? So that was the thing that kind of got me in 18 when I got up to Reading. Is I was swinging it really, really good in Clearwater, and I swung it pretty good for about a week. And when I first got there in Reading, but then the pitchers, obviously, they have advanced reports at that level, and they start trying things to try and get you out, right? So they stop throwing me strikes as often, and I started chasing, weak contact, and then I wasn't making the adjustment, right? Because baseball is a game of adjustments. And so after kind of just fighting that and realizing, okay, I've got to make a change here. I've got to make an adjustment. I've got to up my game a little bit. I go in the off season and I really put a focus on swinging at pitches in my zone where I want the ball to be. And I take that in the season, and it took me a little bit. It took me some trying, a little bit of failure, right? Because anytime you try to add something, you've got to learn. Seems like you learn the hard part before you get the good part. So I remember the first little bit of part of Reading, I was kind of just, I was doing okay. And all of a sudden I started hitting pitches I wanted to hit, and I started walking. And I just watched my numbers just go up. And it was really the first time I had put together in pro ball the approach where I'm not swinging at balls out of the zone, plus the swinging at pitches in my zone and being able to drive them. And that's what really helped me last year. And I grew a lot of confidence in that. And I think that's, if you watch any, the trends of the game, especially with power hitters, it's the driving the ball plus the walks, right? Because the pitchers know, okay, look, we can't throw these guys great balls to hit all the time. So you've got to earn those pitches, and you got to earn those with your eyes. You've got to be able to swing at strikes, and you got to know what a strike is when a ball is, and you got to know the situation. So that's something where I really had to grow in going up the ladder.
In the playoffs last year with Reading, in that last game in Trent, you homered off of Luis Severino, a big-time big league pitcher. What was that feeling like as you're rounding the bases there?
I'm really bad at this, but I just don't. Sometimes I don't know. Like, I was happy that I drove the ball, and honestly, I was really happy that that I was able to really tie the game, to be honest, because we needed something like that. Like, we got beat the night before, pretty bad. And for them to come up in the first inning and put up a run, like, we needed something to kind of get back. Like, and, when I hit the home run, I was just so happy. I was hoping that would, like, kind of, I don't know, almost put the fear in them a little bit. Like, okay, we're here to play, and then it seemed like after the game, I really realized, like, okay, like, I just hit a home run off. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that guy is, he's one of the best. And I think that it really kind of set in, like, afterwards. But it felt, it felt good for sure. But the difference is one thing I learned too, had to learn going up the ladder is it shouldn't matter who's on the mound. Like, just because it's a guy who's had a ton of success, like you've got to play your game and you got to have your confidence against them, you know, and you can't let what they try to be their edge get on you. You know what I mean? Because you're going to face guys that are really good and you're like, oh, this guy's done this guy's done that. If you don't have your confidence, you know, in your swagger against those guys, they're gonna get you out, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go out there with your game and try to beat them.
Who's the toughest pitcher that you got to face this spring
The spring
or last year?
I think. You know what? There was a guy, I don't really know his name. I know he was with the Red Sox, and it was a guy I swear threw like underhand, but it was like 92 and the ball just went like a softball.
Lefty?
Righty.
Righty.
And, you know, I usually don't have any issues with righty underhand guys being a lefty, right? You know, like sometimes they get you out because you hook something, but you usually see it pretty good. And I swear that guy could raise the ladder better than a guy on top. And I remember he threw me because you know, in big league camp this year, a lot of the back end guys maybe got one at bat, two bats. This is my first at bat of the day. I'm coming off the bench, and the guy comes out. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I'm gonna sit right on the plate. This guy's gonna try to sink it away. So he front hips me first pitch. He throws a ball that like comes up my hip, and it's Greg Maddux like comes back over first strike. I'm like, whew, okay. And he throws like a frisbee that starts in the right-handed batter's box, and like I think it's a ball. I looked at the video. I thought it was a ball. I never thought I'd come back over, but the umpire called it a strike. Oh, dude. Then he tries to front hit me again with that fastball and misses. And then he throws a four-seam underhand rise ball at like my belly button for a strike. And I was like, I felt like I just walked up there and was like, what just happened? You know, like I just felt like I got bamboozled, you know, like, and then that guy was tough. You're not going to face much tougher one at bat guys than that, you know.
What is a typical day for you right now in Arizona?
So, kind of my schedule is I work out 4 days a week. I hit 4 to 6 days a week, just depending on how my body feels. So right now, like say a normal day, Monday, I'll wake up. I always cook breakfast. I'm a big breakfast guy, especially in the off season with all the work that I'm doing. I like to get in calories early, so I'll go cook breakfast. I'll wait about an hour. I'll go to the gym. So I'll go to the gym. I'll stretch. I'll do all my stuff. I'll be there for about 2 hours, and then I'll come back, and I like to hit after I work out because it kind of loosens me up, and it's just part of my routine. So I'll hit for probably an hour. I hit overhand front toss, hit off the tee for a little bit, and then I hit a lot of machine. I'm a big machine guy. I'll hit off the machine, and then I'll do my throwing program. So I do a lot of plyo throws. Like I'll throw those driveline balls against the wall, and then I'll play catch. And then I usually sprint to finish off. I'm actually going to add a jog in. I jogged, actually did a long distance jog for the first time last week and about ate my lunch. So I need to, I need to put that in there a little bit, you know, so that's part of my routine. So I like to sprint on Mondays and Thursdays. And I'm going to try to jog on Tuesdays and Fridays.
What do you do for fun?
So on the days off, I go fishing. I love to bass fish. Like, so they're actually just starting up tournaments again. Pretty soon here, so I love to do that, and yeah. So a lot of times, especially when I first got here, they were spawning, you know. So I was crushing the lake, you know. I that's one of my favorite times of year to fish, and I haven't been home in the spring,
right?
2015,
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was when I was at Coach East, and we'd get one day off a week, right? And I wouldn't have class that day, so a lot of times on like Wednesday night at Coach East, I would drive home. It's like an hour drive, hook the boat up, and I'd leave first thing in the morning and go fish Thursday, come back, and then drive back that night. And then we'd have practice on Friday, game on Saturday. You know, so I hadn't done that since 2015, and so I've just really been soaking that up too.
Do you get to do the tournaments in the fall, or they only do those this time of year?
Yeah, in the fall I do too. They're a little bit. Oh, there's only a couple in the fall, so the night series ends within the first couple of weeks I'm home, and then there's 2 tournaments during the day series. That goes from there's one in September, one in October, and then it's done there, and then pretty much just fun fish from October until I leave for spring training.
Well, hopefully you could sneak one in before baseball gets back going and get another trophy on the mantle there.
I'm hoping so. We got one actually on Thursday night this next week, so it should be pretty fun. It'll be good to get back together and have a good time. Fishing should be pretty good.
Remember, everyone scores savings with Choosy, the free, easy-to-use app that gets you dental savings for everyone in your family with or without insurance. Save more, smile more. Visit Choosy at grandslamsavings.com. Darick Hall, thanks so much. This was a blast. We'll let you get back out there, do some fishing. Stay ready, and hopefully we'll see you on the baseball field pretty soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was so good going through the time capsule there.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks, Darick.
Yep. Have a good one.